Does race matter in video games? In gaming? I'm not talking about the people who build the game. I'm talking about the character you play as. Now, again, I may be ill-informed, but I was going into the top characters that I believe that are noteworthy. There's not a lot of games when the main character is not white or offshoot of white. And don't even get me started on voice actors. They've been pushing Nolan North and Troy Baker for quite a while. Now, they do have some notable games that have black characters or main characters. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, but a lot of people says it felt like DLC. So I don't know if I can consider that this as a main character. I want him to have a full-fledged game on his own. But again, he is the main character. CJ from Grand Theft Auto. Now, the GOAT, CJ from Grand Theft Auto. Can't be mad at him. Can't be mad at him. Remember, he is your main character throughout the whole entire game. He's probably the GOAT of all black main characters because no one can say anything bad about that game. Like, it's Grand Theft Auto. Marcus from Watch Dogs 2. Now, I don't think him being black made a difference for his character type. He was just a nerdy architect type. Now, I feel like his race was interchangeable. It didn't really matter what race he really was during that game through. I may be wrong, but I'm just going off memory. Like I don't think it really mattered. Colt from Deathloop. I mean both characters are non-white. Now, they didn't care for the game. I played a little bit, didn't really care for it, so not really my thing. Attaway, Assassin's Creed, the guy, former slave who helps the main character in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. They also gave him his own DLC, Freedom Call. Good character. Grand Theft Auto 5, Franklin. One of the three main characters you can play as throughout the game. Vastly different from the other ones. I like that the characters are vastly different from each other. Again, Grand Theft Auto is a different beast. They know how to handle the races and stuff like that. Again, he wasn't pushed to be like, oh, he's a token black guy we have in the game. It just felt right to have him in the game. But again, Grand Theft Auto, can't really say anything bad about Grand Theft Auto. The choices they make because they're looking at a society and just basing it off the society. They're not trying to make everything into a rose-colored glasses when they make their games. This is what's happening. This is what has happened. This is likely to happen on how things are actually setting out. Mafia 3, Lincoln Clay. Love this guy. The gameplay and stuff like that about the game, you can argue, but love him as a character. Again, that game is just, it hits different. It hits different. Remember, he's the single character you play as. There's a lot more other races you play as besides whites and just general blacks. Like, there's a lot of other races that you play in that game. So, again, great game. Resident Evil 5, Shiva. I didn't play Resident Evil 5. I'm not really a Resident Evil person. Prototype, James Heller. Now, the first prototype, again, I can't be mad at them too much or say this is an actual argument for that because both characters felt like it didn't matter what race they were. Like, again, if it doesn't matter what race they are and you're making them black, cool. Forspoken, Freya. Is her name Frey? Frey. There you go, Frey. Didn't play this game, so I don't know. But the game had a plethora of other issues. Now, out of all these, I think the only ones that actually stand out is probably three of them that work for me: CJ, Franklin, and Clay. The rest didn't make the cut for me. And I'm only focused on black characters, but there's other races that you can focus on. But again, be outsetting of the main three that I named, they kind of send out these games with these other races. I only name black, but these other races out to die. There really isn't. I shouldn't say there really isn't a. It's like they're taking a chance. It's always like a dream project for them. Like, oh yeah, we're making this game, blah blah blah. Our character's this as at the forefront. I'm like, okay, cool. Character's Asian or black or Spanish, whatever. Okay, cool. But then when you see gameplay for the game, storyline for the game, it's really like it really is something that no one's even interested in. And again, I'm bringing this up because of Jedi Fallen or Jedi Survivor. They wanted the Jedi to be a black female character. Now, I brought that up because if you play Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, which I think is out already, if you play those games, you understand how great the story is. And I'm like, cool. I'm happy for them to create a great Star Wars game in general because again, it's kind of hit and miss if the show's good, the movie's good, or the game's even good. But what would the story be if it was a different race character? Remember, it was gonna be a female lead. It was gonna be a black female lead instead of the character they have. I like the character they have. I wish that they go back and change that character to make it a black female lead? No, I don't think they should do that. But I do wonder how much support it would have if it did come out that way. But yeah, remember, there's a lot of I shouldn't say there's a lot, but there's a certain minority, I should say, but they're loud spoken that when certain games come out with non-white leads, it gets a little crazy. Gets a little crazy when they don't have their non-white leads. Again, they really need to figure out what are we doing about this? Now, should they go out their way to use black characters in their game? No. If you're gonna use a black character, I feel like it should really just be the race should be the last part about the character, but the game storyline and things like this should be good enough that if you make the character black or Asian or white, it shouldn't matter. Now, when I say that, I mentioned Marcus from Watch Dogs 2. Again, I'm happy that they made him black, but it didn't really matter if they made him black because the character itself could stood the test of time. You could have made him Asian, you could have made him Spanish, you could have did anything for that character. You could have given him any race, and it mostly would have fit because he doesn't. Again, I don't feel that he does enough to be like, oh, he's a black character. But here's another thing. Why do we even give people the option as like, oh, why don't we just give everybody the option to create their own character? Think about it. Why don't you just be like, okay, my character's this, and I'm just gonna make him whatever race I want. Why don't they give you more of that option instead of just being like, oh, the character is white, the character is black, the character is Asian. Don't get me wrong. Some games, if you're putting it in certain let's say not Watch Dogs, Sleeping Dogs. That's what I wanted to say. Sleeping Dogs. That kind of would only work with an Asian character, right? He's in Chinatown. That kind of would only really work with an Asian character. Again, you could have a white character or a half American, half Asian character, whatnot. But it kind of would be an Asian character for that. It's just doesn't matter in the game. Again, I don't. I'm still. I still up in the air. Does it really matter? I'm like, if the character's good enough, cool. Again, I would like them to actually make more black characters, more Spanish characters, more Asian characters in video gaming. I would like that. Have them be in the forefront. Because again, how many it's not the problem is there isn't so many. There's a lot of white characters. That's not the actual problem, but I feel like they fall back on that white like everyman's everyman architect too much. You get me? That's kind of what they fall back on. Maybe the problem is not the race, it's just the character's background, like their upbringing. Maybe that's the actual problem. You know? Am I talking out of turn? I don't know. Like you can kind of say there's not a lot of vastly different background in these characters, and maybe that's why people are looking to the race being different. But again, here's my issue. If I go into this, oh, the character should be interchanged to be black or white. Okay, we do that. But let's just talk about Batman. Would I want Batman to be black at any point in time? No. I want them to make a new character who's in the Batman universe. Same thing with Superman. Don't make Superman black. Create a new character and have them do what they do. With these new games that do come out, with these story-driven games, give people the option to create their own person, or, which I would prefer to give them to create their own person. Give them like the voice, the changing the voice dialogues. Give them the option to change their voice so they sound different, and just go from there. Again, Mass Effect. Again, I was just talking about Mass Effect in the previous video, or if you previous topic. They had the same voice throughout the whole game. Didn't really complain about that. You could make your character black or female or Asian if you could actually get that far. The tweaking of you can tweak your character vast different to what it is. And again, love that. Fallout, same thing. You can create your character. Again, is it the problem with the race, or is it the actual issue is that they just fall back on this template of generic white guy who becomes a hero somehow? That's probably the main issue. They're not giving the characters enough substance when they drop them out. I would actually, again, I would like them to have more diverse characters. But again, don't make it that their race is solely the only thing that makes them different. Like that. Same thing with making a gay character. Like, if you fall back that their biggest claim to fame is just that they're gay, that's dumb. Give these characters levels. That's probably what I'm more. That's probably what I'm more like. They don't flush out these characters enough. That's probably what more of the problem is. And they're using the same architect too much on all these guys that they're using. Usually, the character you play as is a white guy and tough times or whatnot, or just happen to be super lucky. Like, again, Nathan Drake type characters, or this grilly army guy. I'm like, maybe that's the issue. They're just not thinking about the actual character enough and thinking about just the journey to the end. I don't know, man. This has a lot more. This has a lot more. There's a lot more to this than I originally thought. So again, I was basing this whole topic off of the Jedi Survival guys' interview or whatnot, saying that they thought about making the lead a black female. And then I'm like, how drastically would that have changed that game? Right? This is something to think about. Again, I don't have a lot on this, but it's really just me just throwing that out there and just trying to come up with, like, what is it, just the storytelling in general just not up to par, that they're like, you know what, they just focus on one of these architects and then just build the story from there. That's probably what they're doing. But with that, I'm going to leave it where it is. Later.